Hello and welcome to the 6th video of making an e-commerce project using plain PHP with Bootstrap and Jquery with a template. So today we are going to proceed from where we stopped at. Remember in the previous class we were able to add a category. If you don't watch those previous classes, I just recommend you to go and watch them straight away. You cannot just jump in the middle of the thing and try to catch. You have to watch the previous classes, okay? So with that much said, let's start straight away with category logic. Remember previous time, we were at this point. You click on a category list, and then you click on add new category. And then after clicking on add new category, we clicked on, for example, you can say, what category should we add? Maybe kids, and then the side of kids you put maybe to be pieces, and then you select the photo that will represent this category, and then maybe you can select this one, and then after selecting the photo you give the properties of the kids. For example, you can say size, okay. You can add another one attribute, maybe you'll support maybe the color. Maybe this will be dresses for kids, the color. What else, what other property should you put? You can support maybe material. So maybe this one will be lying under the category of kids. This will be the properties of kids clothes that you'll be adding, okay? So you can put any other category that you can do, and remember how we did this logic. Then after, you put the description, and after putting the description, you click on submit, and when you click on submit, we are able to get this category up to this point. We get the category name, the category unit, and the category photo, and also the category description. So what is remaining right now is to add this category, and after adding this category, we get its ID, and we're also able to add the what? To insert its what? To insert its properties in a what? In the table of category properties. So let's go ahead and open the database, and this is how it looks like. So go local stroke PHP admin, and then after clicking there, then we'll go to our database, which is here, new chick. Okay, then you click on category properties. Okay, this is where we're going to insert the category properties. Okay, so we need the category property ID. This will be increased, the category property name, and the category property, the category property itself. Okay, the category property category, or the category where it is referenced, that it belongs to. So I'll just simply copy these, and then we're going to do what? We're going to add them here. So let me go to where we stopped at. So I'll go to new chick, and then I'll go to category add. Okay. Then at this point, so these I'll just paste them here. Right now we're working on the properties. So at this point, let us dump again the post, and we see what we've got in the post. So I'll refresh. You see what is in the post. We have properties here. Okay. So this is the point that we need, that we're interested in, the properties. So I can go ahead and get the properties only. Remember, these properties were being generated using the what? Using the Jquery repeater library. Okay, that's why you're able to add this. But remember, every property we need these three things. We need the ID, the property ID, and also we need the property what? Property name, and also the property category. For example, we'll need to update. I mean, when we'll be inserting this property ID, we'll need to see if this property ID, this property is already existing for that particular category. So if it exists, we'll update it. So if it does not exist, we can do what? We can change it. Of course, when we update also, we'll need the ID of this particular property. But if we do with this like this, then we cannot know the ID of the property that we need to update, okay? So on each property, I'm going to add its ID so that when we'll be updating, we'll be knowing which particular property we are updating. So we forgot to put one more thing, the what? The ID, because we're having only the name. Now what if the user has just changed it? So it will be complicated to see that we don't have the ID. But if you have the ID of each category property, then we can go ahead and update it in case it has changed. So to do that, I will simply go ahead and I'll go ahead and get and add one more field for each input, for each property, and that's going to be the ID, okay? The category property ID. So to do that, I'll just simply, and I'm also going to change this one from the word untyped input. You're going to change it, the name, to the category property name, okay? This one. So I'm going to change it to category property name, okay? And then I say that I'll need also one more thing here. On each input, I'll need its own ID. So I have to put another input, and I'm going to call it what? Its ID. Category property what? Category property ID. Okay, I made a mistake here, but it's okay. Category property ID. So let us go back and refresh. So I can make this ID to be by default of value none. Okay, so I refresh, or I can make it by default to be of value 0, because it cannot have 0. So I refresh. You see, it is here, right? So every property must have a what? An ID that will uniquely define it. You see, when you add, it comes with the ID and the property. When you add, comes the ID and a property. So what we're going to do right now, we are going to do what? To hide it, because the user does not need to see this ID of this particular property. It does not make sense to the user. So I'm going to make it hidden. So to make to make an input to be hidden, you just put the input type to be what? To be hidden, like this. Or you add just an attribute called hidden, and then that input will not appear. Why? Because we are not interested to show the user this ID of this particular what? Of this particular property. So that's where we are right now. So I'll go ahead and add action, and then go ahead and get pieces. Maybe I'm going to say this was going to be what? Kids. And then after getting kids, then you have pieces, and then we're going to have category photo. Okay. And then after having category photo, then you can go ahead and put the categories. Maybe you can put the size. You can put the what? Maybe you can put we can put what? We can put size. We can put maybe color. We can put also, after putting the color, we can put another property. Which other property can we need? We can put also material of the cloth. Then we can go ahead and upload this product. Okay. So what I wanted you to see is that now we have two things of every property. We have its ID and the name. ID and the name. ID and the name. Why did we put this ID? Is because, but this ID, remember, it is hidden in what? In the main form. We put this ID is because sometime we may need to update. Maybe the user wants to change the word size to another thing. So if you don't have the ID, it will be hard for you to update the what? To update the property. Okay? It will be hard for you to update the property. So this is what you're going to do. So you're going to check the one that we should update and the one that we do what? That will insert. Okay? But before we insert, we need to first insert the category itself. And after getting the category itself, we need to get its ID, and then we start inserting its what? Its properties. Okay? So let us work on the category and we get the ID. After inserting the category and the ID, then we'll start working on its what? On its properties. So to do that, we already worked on the categories, okay? We already worked on the categories, the image uploading, and the rest. We already finished that. So it is here in the data, here in the D. So if I just echo this D, let me comment this. Wa alaikum salam. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So we want to insert this data for the category, okay? So after getting this data, we'll get now the ID of this category, and once we have the ID, then we'll insert its what? Its properties, with its properties, okay? So let's go ahead and insert. So we have the function that inserts. So to insert, now we have this data, okay? This data. First of all, okay, we have the data, right? So I'm going to insert now the category itself, okay? Let me just put here, inserting category, okay? So to insert the category, we'll simply use, we already have this function of inserting, okay? db insert, you see, it is here. So it will return a response, whether it was successful or not, okay? db insert, this one, okay? So the db insert, what does it do? It takes the table and the what? And the array to insert. So I'll call this function and insert the db insert. We take the table. Of course, the name of the table is what? Is product category. Category. The table is a what? Is a category. So we're going to insert in this category. So a category and then the data. The data is D. So I'll pass to it D. And then we should expect a response whether it is successful or not. Just say resp is equal to that. Let me dump the response. Okay. And then let's see what we've got. Refresh. Can you see? The code is 1 and everything was done successfully. Okay? So that one saves us from writing the SQL by ourselves. So you can see category is we're having at least one record. Okay? So after getting one record, now we need to get the category ID. Okay? We now need to get the category ID so that we should be able to insert its properties in another table. You get the point? After inserting the category, then we'll have to insert its what? Its ID. So to do this, now to know its ID, of course, it's going to be a little bit tricky because we don't know how we can get it. Also, we can use a name. So we can use names since each category should have a unique name. So you can use a name. Another way you can use to get the last data that has just been inserted in a what? In a category, and then you use that one to get the ID. So I can write the SQL here, or I can just select it from what? From the database. It's just up to me. So I can get the last data, and I then use that data to get the what? The ID of the category. So there are two ways. You can either use the name, or we can use the what? The ID. So once you have the response to be success, we'll go ahead and get the what? The category. So you can depend on this response before you do anything else, or you can just don't mind about this response. You can assume that everything was successful, and then you go ahead and get the category. You can get it by the name, or you can get it you can also get it by the name of the photo, because remember the photo name is also having. I mean, the category has a unique what? Has a unique category. If it has a unique photo. The name of a photo is what? Is unique. So you can use the photo name to get the category because the name of the photo is unique. So those are the different ways how we can get the category name. Because here we don't have a grasp on it and we want the very last category that we've inserted. So you can use since the photo is unique, let us use the photo name or the photo ID to get the what? The category that we've just inserted. Why do we need it? We need it because we need the ID. Because if we have its ID, we can go ahead and insert its what? Its properties. So let us get that photo. We already have the SQL. You see the beauty of doing things, of already using functions. So we already have a function that can get for us any table content. Okay. So we can use this one by simply using like this. Okay. So what does it take? It takes the table. Of course, the table is called what? It's called category, like this. It takes the condition. So this condition should be what? Should be an array. Okay. So the array, you can give the condition. Like our condition should be the category photo is equal to the category photo. Okay. So this is just our only condition, because you know you can also get it by the name, but sometimes the same categories may have same name, so it is risky. Now we better get it by what? By category photo. So I'm going to get the category photo here, and I put it as a what? As a condition that we're going to use to get the what? The category. So I'll remove this array and replace the what? The category photo. And then the order, I can leave it just as the way it is, as nothing. So this one will get for us the data of the product, of the category that we last inserted. Okay. And why do we need that? Is because we need its what? Its ID. And why do we need its ID? Is because we want to insert its properties in another table. And its properties, they depend on its what? On its ID. So I refresh. Unexpected. $29. Okay, is equal to. So we pass. Okay. This is supposed to be just category as the table name. Refresh. You see, everything is perfect. And then by doing like this, we can get the ID of the last product. Can you see? So if we have that, then we can get the ID of the last product. Of course, you can see the ID of this last product is what? Is 3. So let us go and get the data here. So the data is in the position response. So I'll first check if our response code is what? Code is 1. Then I'll go ahead and insert its what? Its properties. If response code is equal to 1, and then I can go ahead and get its what? Its ID. Okay. So how shall we get the ID? Through data. So category ID is equal to response, and then you pass data. Okay. Then after, you select the item in position 0. Okay, because it will bring a list of what? Of categories. And then after, we get the what? The category ID. Okay, so by doing like this, we have now the category ID. Okay, let me echo it here so that you can see it. You can see the category ID is what? Is 4. You refresh, it is going to increase, of course, it is 5. So that we can use to get the what? The category ID. That's very great. So now we have to insert, what? We have to insert, you can go ahead and first check if this is set before you do what? Before you get it even, okay? Want to make an effective thing. If is set, and then you get the what? The category ID. So the category ID, we initialize it from that point, okay? The category ID, we initialize it from that point. So it means that you can also do the logic of now inserting the product in this section, okay? You can do the logic of inserting the product categories in this section, category properties in this section. So since we have the category, now we are going to insert the what? its properties. Since we have its ID, now we need to insert its what? Its properties. Let me first dump its properties so that you can see. Okay, now we have the ID. Okay, so you can also as well, since these properties, they will depend on the category ID. So you have to first check if it's set maybe. Remember, I've checked it, or I've set it only in this section. So I'm first checking if is set. Okay. If is set the category ID, and then I can go ahead and do what? And start adding the category properties. In case we have it, we can even as well check for its length before we even go ahead to make sure that everything is okay. Okay. And say if str what? Length of this is greater than 0, then you can know, okay, now the category ID is there, and we are going to do what? To insert its properties. Okay. So let me dump his properties inside here and we see if it is reached that level or if we'll get that one. Okay, so I come and refresh. Syntax error unexpected on line 32. We have some error here. If it's set, it's not supposed to be surrounded with quotes. Refresh. Line 32. Is set. Was supposed to be surrounded with what? With normal bracket. Oh. Okay, so it means that we'll only access it only when it is set. So if I refresh, now you can see we have successfully reached this point, and we are now able. We now have the ID of the category that will be last inserted, created, and also have the what? The properties themselves. Okay, now it's time to insert or update the properties. Okay, now we cannot just insert all the properties at once. There's a dilemma here. Okay. We cannot insert all the properties just as once. It is possible, but we have to first check if it is time to insert or if it is time to update. Because sometimes we will need to update these properties. But if we just put the logic of insert, it means that it will not allow us to do what? To update. So you have to check if it is time to insert or it is time to do what? To update. But how shall we know that we are inserting? We can insert only when we have set the what? The category property ID. So if the category property ID comes with a number which is greater than a 0, then we can know that that one already exists, and then we need to do what? To update it. So if it is not greater than 0, then we will know that it does not exist. We need to do what? To insert it. That's what we're going to do. So we are going to loop through what? Through these properties, right? We are going to loop through these category properties. So I'm going to write here just for each. Okay, so we're going to loop through properties, and then we'll have these ones. Okay, so let me dump here what you're getting. Can call it maybe prop. Okay, so I don't need to put this because it is, I can also as well copy this and put this. Okay, so if I come and refresh, you see, we are having this one. But I just have told you that there are two scenarios. Sometime back, at some time in future, we will come here while you need to do what? To update these properties. Okay, so we are going to check for two things. If it exists, we will do what? We will insert. If it does not exist, we will do what? We will update it. Okay? We will update it if it does not exist. If it already exists, we will do what? We will insert it. So, let us go ahead and do that. So I'll check for this ID. If it is greater than 0, then to know it is updating. If it is 0 or nothing, I'll know it is just inserting. So how shall we do that? We can do that by simply saying category property ID equals to, and then I will go ahead and what? And get it from this prop. Okay, so we'll have to pass the category property ID. So it must be an integer, so I'm going to typecast it by just simply putting int and then the typecasted. So let us see what we've got. Can you see? We've got triple zeros. Why? Because, of course, it's supposed to be triple zeros because the first one is a 0 itself and the remaining ones are not are empty. That's why you see it is 0, 0, 0. So now after making sure that they are 0, 0, 0, now we have to check. Okay, if it is greater than 0, then it means that it was specific, it wants to update. If it is less than 0 or equal to 0, we'll know that it does not exist. You want to do what? To insert that property. So I'll check. If this property that we just got from the field is what? Is greater than 0. Let me die here and say updating. Okay? And then I'll come here on the else part. I'll die here and say inserting. Okay, so if I come and refresh, now I can see we are inserting. Of course, there is only one time because it is a die, so it stops. So we are going to insert, right? So to insert, let us see again what we need. To insert a property, we need the following. We need a category property. To insert a property, we need category property itself, the name, and the what? And the category property. I mean the category ID itself. Okay? So those are the things that we need. So let's see if we have them. So here it is inserting time. So I'm going to see what we're going to have. Category, property, and then the first dimension, I'll put the what? The name. I mean the ID. Of course, the ID is equal to the one that we requested here, right? The ID is the one that we requested here. Okay? And remember, it is the one that we checked in order to proceed. So I'll begin with the ID. So what else? We need the category property name. Okay? Category property name. So category property name, how can we get it? Through category props, okay? Through category prop. But I don't remember the name, the exact name that we used. Okay? So what did we use in the category property? Okay? We use the name properties, right? We use the name properties. Okay? Category property name, I think it comes with this prop, right? Yeah, it comes with prop. So let me just echo and see what she's coming with. Let me just print her and see what is there. Refresh. You see, we have this data that you're going to insert. So the ID will not take care of it because it is inserting and the database will take care of it. The property name will have it, okay? And so you have to get the property what? Property name, which is inside this thing that we dumped. in the section of category property name, like this. So let us dump, let us dump this one, and we see what we've got there. Refresh. So can you see? We have the property ID. I mean the category property. It's not supposed to be category. It's going to be category property category. My spelling is not right, but category property category. The other one will be incremented automatically. And then also have the what? The property name. So in this loop, we are going to insert each property. So we'll be checking if the ID is greater than 0, then you'll update it. If it is ID less than 0, we will do what? We'll insert. Okay? You see? So let us insert. Okay? So to insert, we'll just simply call our function. We give it what? We give it the database name, I mean the table name. Okay? After giving it the table name, we go ahead and give it the category or the properties that we're going to insert. $sign properties. Okay? So to sample, you can have some. Okay, so you can have some response. So that's what I mean. And sleep. Response equals, okay? So let me dump the response and see if it was inserted successfully. So refresh. There the response being echoed. Okay, I have to remove this. I did not receive the response, that's why. Okay, so let me refresh. You see? One started successfully. So everything is okay. So if you come and refresh here in properties, so you can see category ID, property ID 1, and category property name is having the category ID. It belongs to category of this ID. Okay? So this is the ID that can uniquely identify this category, and this is where it belongs. So for example, when you put a computer, it will tell us that it belongs to a certain computer. That's, for example, when you put a computer category, we'll have to put things like RAM, we'll have to put things like brand, we'll have to put things like manufacturer, all those things that belongs to a computer. Then it means that the computer category will be here, where it belongs, and also their properties here. Did you understand that, members? Members?
Yes, sir.
Are you getting what I'm trying to do? Like, are you getting the concept?
Yes.
Really?
For now.
Hadijat?
Yeah.
Are you following?
Yes.
Are you getting the concept?
Yeah.
Eh?
Yes.
Okay. So a little bit complicated, but it makes sense. Like the shop will be dynamic, it can be used by any kind. That's why it's make it a little bit complicated. And if you do it, then you will have to understand why you need to do things. So I don't care about the response right now. I'll just go ahead and remove it. Okay? So once we do that, it means that we have successfully inserted the category. Okay? We have successfully inserted the category. So let me remove this useless garbage, but we're going to come back on the edit. We're going to come back for this same section. Okay, so if I refresh, everything should be okay. You see, everything is okay. So I'll just remove this echo. Okay, and then refresh and see if everything is still okay. Everything is still okay. So after doing that, then let's go ahead and redirect the user that the product was inserted successfully. Okay. Okay, so I don't know where I can send the message from on the first here, whether it was on this response. But right now, I know if it reaches here, then the user is much more probably that he must have inserted the product successfully. So let's send the message. Okay, send message or the notice. That's going to be product category was created product category has been created successfully. Okay, and then we go ahead and put the comma and put what? Success. Okay, so let us refresh and see if this message is really being sent. Okay, so they are not displaying anything, then it means that everything is what? Is okay. So you have to redirect here the user back to what? To admin categories. Okay, so just simply say header, and then I'm going to put location. I'm going to keep it at what? At admin categories. Is it admin category or admin category? Okay, so this is the one that will direct the user to the normal all categories table. So I refresh. It does not say, oh, it's supposed to be .php. Okay, you see, product category was created successfully. Okay, so all categories are here. Let me just get their name. Okay, admin category.php. So I'm redirecting the user at this section after they finish. So let us go ahead and add a new product. Okay, just say maybe women. So I can select this one. I can add, for example, I can add size, we can add also the color for now, okay?
Yes, sure. No, for me, my connection is not that strong, so I don't think that I thought it was from my side. There was a time your voice.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, but not.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, but if I'm doing it, I think it will be easier for me to understand faster. Yes, the concept from what you say. No. Can you hear me?